The gentleman from Texas is now recognized for 5 minutes on the amendment.
Thank you, Chair. I rise to offer an amendment to the Strategic Production Reserve Act to prohibit the Secretary of Energy from approving new oil and gas leases on federal lands that have high concentrations of orphaned oil and gas wells. Over the 160-year history of industrial oil and gas extraction in the United States, companies have dug millions of oil wells to fuel energy demands at home and around the world. When the pumps run dry and the wells are no longer profitable, companies are supposed to seal them up to stop toxic chemicals from escaping into the environment. Unfortunately, they often have not. Between the lax regulations of the oil boom and the patchwork of current state and federal laws, oil companies have been able to shirk their responsibility to keep the communities around their wells safe. Today, the American landscape is dotted with abandoned, uncapped wells that leak toxins into the air we breathe and the water we drink. The U.S. Geological Survey has documented more than 117,000 orphaned wells, and the EPA estimates that as many as 3 million could exist across the country. Last year, as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law, Congress authorized $4.7 billion in investment to plug orphaned wells and protect the areas around them from further environmental harm. But even with this funding, the government is playing whack-a-mole with new orphaned wells emerging as we struggle to clean up the ones we already have. Right now, as we debate this bill, the largest owner of oil and gas wells in the country is teetering on the edge of bankruptcy that could leave more than 70,000 orphaned wells spewing poison in different parts of the country. As taxpayers cover the tab for the mess that oil companies created, we should not be signing leases that open the door to a new generation of orphaned wells. My state of Texas is the top oil and gas producing state in the nation, and I'm acutely aware of how important the energy industry is to our state and our national economy. This amendment does not ask oil companies to repay taxpayers for the billions we've already spent to clean up their toxic wells, and it doesn't prevent further drilling. Instead, it pauses new drilling leases on federal lands with the highest concentration of orphaned wells, giving the government a chance to catch up with the cleanup efforts that are already underway. This is a common-sense amendment that would bring relief to the 14 million Americans who live within a mile of an orphaned well. And I ask my colleagues to support this common-sense amendment. With that, Chair, I yield back.
The gentleman from Texas yields back his time. For what purpose does the gentleman seek recognition from North Dakota?
Mr. Chair, I rise in opposition to the amendment.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chair, the purpose of the bill is to prevent further abuse of the SBR and require the Secretary to establish a plan to increase and unleash American energy production on federal lands and offshore waters. This amendment is nothing more than another attempt to limit oil and gas production in the United States. American energy workers are eager to get back to work. We can produce million more barrels of oil per day instead of relying on OPEC and Russia for our energy needs. President Biden's Department of Interior only leased 126,228 acres for drilling during his first 19 months in office. To put that in perspective, no other president since Richard Nixon leased out fewer than 4.4 million acres at that stage in their first term. The Biden administration has made it more difficult than any other administration in history to produce energy, and this amendment would add to that. I urge a no vote on this amendment, and I yield back.
The gentleman from North Dakota yields back his time. The question is now on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Texas. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Mr. Chair,
Gentleman,
I ask for a recorded vote.
the gentleman seeks